Why do so many people get just in time wrong? Well, part of the reason is because of articles like this one, and this one, and because of the connotation the terminology has, just in time. So it's really easy to think that just in time means you get it at the exact point and when you need it and not a second before. And that would be fantastic if it was possible. But unfortunately, we live in an imperfect world, and trying to set up any supply chain to do exactly that probably isn't the best idea. And unfortunately, because of misinformation in the media, that's what a lot of people think when they think just in time. And it's really easy to look at what happened in the Suez Canal, or what we have now with a trucker shortage, a container shortage. We see it on the nightly news almost every night, how we can't get boats unloaded in Oakland and New Jersey. So people look at those things and think, aha, you see, somebody somewhere set these systems up to be just in time, and it just doesn't work. Any little blip in the system and it all goes downhill. Well, that's not a just-in-time system. Just-in-time does not mean having zero inventory. Also, just-in-time doesn't mean you ordered it within lead time so that you'll receive it just in time. And it would be great if just-in-time were just that simple, but it's not. Just-in-time is a system, it's a process, and you have to do a lot of things right first before you can lower your inventory. Now, the classic example we use is a lake or a pond, and envisioning a perfectly smooth surface. Your water is your inventory. And the more inventory you have, the more rocks that you can cover up. Now, the rocks represent all the things in your process that aren't as good as they need to be. Long setups, poor quality, bad machine uptime. And under the rules of mass production, we don't worry about those things as much because the mentality was always, once you get it set up and running, just run it and run as much as you possibly can. And that's where the whole moniker of the more you make, the more you save, the more you buy, the more you save comes from. Now, what Toyota would say about just-in-time is you have to make what you need, when you need it, and have it where you need it. But to properly do just-in-time, you have to factor in your upstream processes reliability. But the way I describe it is you have to remove the rocks first, meaning do your setup production, analyze your processes so you can have better OEE, better machine uptime. Only then can you reduce your inventory levels. And that's where a lot of people go wrong with just-in-time. They cut their inventories first and use that as a stressor to the system to uncover what other problems they have. But that's putting the cart before the horse, because now you don't have the inventory to cover those rocks, those bad processes. And ultimately, shipments and your customers are going to wind up paying the price for that. And it usually doesn't take very long for customers to let you know that they disagree with the decision that you made. And that's where we see people will say things like, we tried lean before and it doesn't work. We had to go back to the way we used to do it, which was running up inventory to cover up all of the things that we don't do right because we can still make customer shipments. And that kind of defeats the whole purpose of lean. Now, I will say the one rule you never want to break is you have to protect the customer. Which means taking into account what can your process, what can your supply chain support, and making sure that you have enough inventory throughout that whole thing to make sure that your customers are covered. Now, what we're seeing happening now, I think, is great evidence to the fact that global supply chains aren't necessarily supportive of just-in-time. Because we literally have slow boats from China trying to deliver to the United States goods that we need in order to produce things that we produce. And there's so many variables that can happen, and we're seeing a lot of those happen right now. Factories shut down, ports shut down, people get sick, there's storms on the seas. I mean, there's probably a million different things that can affect negatively that supply chain. So even in the best of circumstances, you can't claim that that is a supportive just-in-time system.